Fairly recently, LOFREE have been expanding their low-profile mechanical keyboard range. There's sort of two newish low-profile keyboards to this lineup, and the first is an updated version of the incredibly well-received LOFREE Flow keyboard, and the second relatively new LOFREE keyboard is the LOFREE Flow Light. I'd actually argue this is a more traditional low-profile mechanical keyboard, although it does have some retro aesthetics thrown in for good measure. Rather than just reviewing one, and seeing as they've both come out relatively recently, thought I'd review / compare both of them, because while they share the same brand, they may appeal to slightly different users. This expanded comparison, I'll cover all the things I usually discuss, including the design, the switches, the keycaps, the battery life, the connectivity, the pricing, and the overall user experience. See a clear picture of which keyboard might suit you and which one you might actually prefer. And I'll also discuss which one I prefer. So this is a comparison of the LOFREE Flow 2 low profile mechanical keyboard versus the LOFREE Flow Light mechanical keyboard. Starting with the Flow 2, this is an ultra slim, low profile keyboard designed to look sleek and to look minimalistic. In some ways, it kind of actually looks futuristic, or maybe a better way of describing that would probably be just modern, but it does look shiny and different. Now, the first thing to say and the thing I really like about it is the chassis is designed with a crafted CNC machined aluminium alloy frame, which makes it lightweight, but it's still a rigid keyboard. As I said before, it looks very modern, with an almost MacBook-esque inspired look about it. Obvious thing I should point out is the keyboard is asymmetrical, and that's because it has a unique design, which features a touch volume control down the right hand side of the keyboard. And whilst this sounds kind of cool, and it kind of reminded me of the touch bar on the older MacBook Pros, this volume control has come to annoy me. Especially if you're right-handed like me, you'll have your mouse right next to the volume control bar, and it's very easy to knock into. Also, because of the asymmetric design, I tend to push the keyboard over to the right, reducing the space for my mouse on my desk mat. And the reason I do this is because I like to have the key centered when I'm typing. And because the keyboard is asymmetrical, well, it means you push the keyboard over. And you can see this here when I compare it to the Keychron K2 HE. The Flow 2 has a bigger footprint on the right hand side, despite the fact that the keyboards theoretically are the same size. Aside from the asymmetry and the volume bar, I do really like the design, and as I mentioned before, more specifically the materials that they've used to design this keyboard with. Now, this keyboard comes in two colours, either silver, which has white keycaps, or the version I have here, which is space grey with black keycaps. The keyboard also comes in 3 sizes, which is a typical feature of the Flow series of keyboards, so you can either get in a 65% layer with 68 keys, the 75% layer with 84 keys, or the 96% layer with 100 keys. And for the Flow 2, I have the 75% layer with the 84 keys. Unfortunately, I have the Flow Light in the 96% layer, so this is technically not going to be a direct comparison. But other than the key layer, the sizes have very little differences when it comes to the features that each keyboard comes with. Moving on to the LOFREE Flow Light design. This keyboard again kind of feels like an Apple type of keyboard. I don't really know how else to say that, but basically if you like the Apple Magic keyboard but want to switch to a low profile keyboard and some experience using these type of keyboards, I can see people getting something like the LOFREE Flow Light to make that jump. As I said, I have it in the 96% layer with 100 keys. This keyboard is housed in a rounded ABS plastic case that's thicker and chunkier than the Flow 2, but compared to basically any other keyboard, it feels minimalistic and, well, light, as is in the name. I also believe LOFREE have intentionally given it a kind of retro design. There's no getting around the fact that it feels cheaper than the Flow 2, but then again, it is supposed to be cheaper than the Flow 2. That's kind of the point. It's being branded as an affordable, low-profile mechanical keyboard. It can be used basically by anyone. One thing I like about the light version is the conveniently placed volume roller, which whilst is a bit old school, I'd argue is a lot more convenient and probably works a bit better as well than the volume bar on the Flow 2. The keyboard comes with 3 colours, with a marble colour which is basically light grey with white keycaps, and this is one I have. There's also an off-white colour and a flamingo colour, which is basically a sort of pinky, peachy colour. This keyboard can be purchased in 2 sizes, the 75% layer and, as I mentioned before, the 96% layer, which is, well, with 100 keys and which is the one I have here. The keyboard only weighs 658 grams in the 96% layer, so it's easily portable, and if you have the 75% layer, it only weighs 550 grams. And to compare that with another keyboard I got recently, which is also marketed as being portable, the Lofree Air 75 version 3 weighs 724 grams. So the 75% layer of the Flow Light series lives up to its name and is easily usable on the go. Both keyboards feature adjustable feet, but they do differ. The The Flow 2 offers a flat to slightly angled profile, relying on its naturally slim shape to provide comfort. The Flow 2 also has one option of height adjustment with the feet, and these feet are again made from aluminium with little rubber bits on the end to try and stop the keyboard from moving when you're typing. The Flow Light keyboard also offers one incline option with its plastic feet, which also have rubber bits again to increase the grip of the keyboard. From a purely design perspective, the Flow 2 looks modern and premium, and it's quite a striking keyboard with an all metal case. And to be fair, the Flow Light also looks premium, but just has a bit more of a creative design, and it does look a little bit plasticky. Now, needless to say, switch choice is a key factor for a keyboard. Here, the Flow 2 and the Flow Light do differ. Flow 2 uses Kailh's updated low profile mechanical switches, and I have the Keyl pulse switches, which are tactile switches with tactile bumps, and these switches have been redesigned for this keyboard, and that's mainly so that more light gets through to the keycaps. And this works because basically they've now got a large hole at the top of the switch so that light can get through. And basically this redesign helps the Flow 2 have a brighter backlight, which helps if you're working at night and just like using backlit keyboards. Along with the pulse switches, you can also purchase the keyboard with either the Surfer linear switches or the Silent Void linear switches. The Flow Light offers two types of switches, again designed by Keyl. The LOFREE Spectre switches, which are linear switches, and again there's also a silent linear switch option, which are known as the Hades switches. And I ended up choosing the Spectre switches for this keyboard. Both sets of switches sound pretty decent for a low profile mechanical keyboard, and I really do like the fact that they both have an option for silent switches, especially given these keyboards can be used as travel keyboards, so you may be using them a lot around other people, and sometimes having really loud mechanical keyboards can be quite off-putting for others. Personally, I prefer the pulse switches on the Flow 2, but that may be because I tend to prefer tactile switches. The Flow 2 features slim PBT keycaps designed specifically for low profile switches. They are double shot, meaning that the legends won't fade over time, and they have a smooth matte texture that resists finger oils. They also have a slightly curved surface, which is supposed to make them more comfortable to type on. The backlighting is north facing. As I mentioned before, this can get fairly bright because of changes they've made to the switches with this keyboard. The legends on the keycaps are central and look fairly minimal, and I'd argue the legends on both the Flow 2 and the Flow Light are fairly similar. Flow Light uses keycaps which are a PBT and ABS blend, which does allow for backlighting to shine through, maybe just not as much as the Flow 2. The keycaps themselves match the keyboard case, and these keycaps do feel a bit cheaper than the Flow 2, and they don't have that same slightly curved surface, although I'm kinda glad they don't, and the surface of the Flow Light caps is just a bit smoother, and I'd argue it actually makes it a bit more comfortable to type on when comparing it to the Flow 2. And I do find the Flow 2 keycaps are kinda sharp on the edges, and I think it's just because of the curved surface, whereas the keycaps, as I said before, on the Flow Light are actually really comfortable to type on. Now, perhaps unsurprisingly, battery life performance does differ noticeably between these two keyboards. The Flow 2, obviously being considered the more premium of the two, houses a bigger 3000 mAh battery. Fortunately, the website doesn't specify how long this will last with backlighting turned off, but I suspect it's a lot longer than the Flow Light. Meanwhile, the Flow Light has a 2000 mAh battery, and apparently this can last to up to 80 hours with the backlighting turned off. Also offers relatively fast charging and can be fully charged in 3 hours. In terms of connectivity, the Flow 2 and Flow Light both support Bluetooth and USB-C wired connections. They can pair with up to 3 devices at once, and switching between them is straightforward with the function shortcuts. A lot like most keyboards you get nowadays. And this does make them suitable for multi-device workflows, whether that's switching between a laptop and a tablet, or even if you're using your keyboard with your phone. It can also help if you're switching between work computers and personal computers. Both keyboards are compatible with Mac and Windows, and they include switch toggles to change OS layouts easily. Conveniently, the Flow Light also has keycaps which have both Windows and Mac legends on them. The Flow 2 comes with keycaps with Mac legends on them as standard. The Flow 2 is more expensive, although the price is yet to be settled, as it can still only be purchased through their Kickstarter campaign. Higher price does reflect the premium materials, slim engineering, and productivity focus. Being marketed as a higher end, low profile option, it's supposed to be competing with keyboards like the Logitech MX Mechanical Mini, whereas the Flow Lite typically retails at around $99, and that's if you purchase the 84 key configuration. It's competitively priced for a full featured, unique keyboard that is aimed at those who want a cheaper version than any of the LOFREE Flow keyboards. Both keyboards are hot swappable, but they're only swappable with compatible low profile switches. This does limit your options significantly. Keycap swaps are also challenging since low profile sets are niche. In terms of customization, it's more about the software rather than the keycaps and switches themselves. Ultimately, while both keyboards are well designed, they do kind of serve different purposes. The Flow 2 is a choice for professionals or anyone who wants a sleek, portable and quiet keyboard that they can take with them on the go. Its minimalist design, low profile switches and slim form factor make it very easy to integrate into any sort of modern desk setup or workflow. However, the Flow Light is more user friendly and works well for anyone who's wanting to sort of transition from the sort of standard keyboards or laptop keyboards that you get to a low profile mechanical keyboard. It's also significantly cheaper in price, and I'd argue its features make it good value for money. If you want a higher end productivity keyboard, go for the Flow 2. If you want a cheaper, well built and comfortable low profile mechanical keyboard, then I'd definitely pick the Flow Light. In short, the Flow 2 works for work and the Flow Light is more user friendly. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you have, please give this video a like. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video.